Well, if you're familiar with the Vincennes area, no doubt you've heard of Francis Vigo, a fur trader in the 1770s. The local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution are now paying tribute to their chapter's namesake. As News Director Dave Foster explains, a new grave marker is bringing more recognition and awareness to the feats Vigo made possible.
Overlooking the city from his perch along the Wabash River, the statue of Francis Vigo seems ever watchful of Vincennes and the George Rogers Clark Memorial. His legacy drew a crown to his gravesite just blocks away. Vigo was a pivotal figure in the American Revolution. His contributions to the war effort went far beyond what many realize. To recognize his role, the state and local chapters of the Daughters and Sons of the American Revolution came together to present a new historical marker to ensure that his legacy as an American patriot endures.
Most people, when we acknowledge a patriot for the American Revolution, it's done by somebody joining the National Society and proving their lineage and proving that he was. Well, Francis Vigo had no children. Francis Vigo did not lead any troops during the American Revolution. And so what I had to do to have him officially recognized as a National Society Daughters of the American Revolution patriot, I had to establish his birth, his death, and his service. The death was easy because he was in our local newspaper when he passed. The most difficult time I had to prove his birth, and I found people had him born anywhere from 1740 to 1749. We know that he was born in Moldovi, Sardinia, in northern Italy. And I found a book that contained an interpretation of the Latin birth certificate or baptism record for Francis Vigo. And so that took me quite a time to find it. And then it was easy to find. I used the writings of George Rogers Clark and some of the people in his unit to prove the service of Francis Vigo. But it took a lot of digging, and I have to thank the George Rogers Clark National Historic Park because they were instrumental in helping me find some of my information.
So what did Francis Vigo do to advance the American cause and support George Rogers Clark? As a prosperous fur trader, Vigo accumulated a significant fortune. In 1778, he contributed nearly $12,000 to Clark's militia, a sum valued at about $275,000 today. In the fall of 1778, Francis Vigo was traveling back to Vincennes, unaware that the British had recaptured Fort Sackville. Along the way, he was captured by Native Americans and taken to the fort, where British forces held him prisoner for several weeks. During his time in captivity, Vigo quietly gathered intelligence, observing everything he could. And when he was finally released, he had to leave behind his horse and trade goods and was forced to promise that he would return to his home in St. Louis without taking any action that would harm the British cause. However, once he reached St. Louis, Vigo headed straight to Kaskaskia instead, where he met with George Rogers Clark. And there he shared the critical information he had gathered. British reinforcements were expected to arrive by spring, and knowing that they couldn't afford to wait, Clark made the difficult decision to lead his men on a treacherous winter march through swamps and rivers. And thanks to Vigo's warning, Clark and his men reached Fort Sackville and captured it. And the rest, as they say, is history. A history that everyone here believes needs to be remembered and shared repeatedly.
It helps perpetuate the memory of those that came before us and sacrificed their lives, fortunes, and property for the country that we enjoy today.
Francis Vigo is one of those people from the community who not only gave of his time and talent, but he gave thousands of dollars to the American cause and helped support George Rogers Clark in winning the West for the American Revolution.
Just an awesome individual, Francis Vigo, and we would have never won this war without his effort. So we're here to celebrate his achievements in his life.
As the nation approaches the 250th anniversary of independence in 2026, commemorations like the unveiling of this new grave marker remind us of the people and stories that shaped our country's beginning. With each retelling, Francis Vigo's legacy is woven deeper into the fabric of American history. A patriot whose contributions continue to inspire generations. For First City Focus, I'm Dave Foster.
You can learn more about Francis Vigo and the local DAR chapter by visiting our website, vincennes.pbs.org.